All right, Roberta, take it away.
So, well, good morning, everyone. I'm Roberta Smith, and I'm a community engagement manager with Churchwell Service. I'm based in North Carolina, and I'm so pleased that all of you have joined us this morning to be a part of this Southeast Leadership Day. For some of you, you've participated before, and for others, this might be your first time joining us. So we welcome all of you to this time that we're going to spend together. Before we kind of kick things off, we wanted to just say that part of the reason we believe this meeting is so important is because it allows us an opportunity to bring our Southeast Crop Hunger Walk leaders together to celebrate the success of the walks over this past year. It also allows us a time to share with you some updates about the impact of your walking, your giving, all of your efforts, the efforts in your local community. And then it also allows us a time to kind of brainstorm and share some ideas and share tips and tricks with each other, so that when we leave this meeting today, we all leave energized, we leave with some good information, and we feel even more equipped and empowered to get out there in our respective communities and advocate for those who are poor, advocate for those who are unhoused, and advocate for our brothers and sisters whose voices need to be lifted. So once again, thank you for joining us this morning. As with so many of our meetings, we like to kick off with a prayer. And so I will invite you to join me in a word of prayer. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoes through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the earth. Your heavenly will be done by all created things. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick off our program, and I'm going to turn this over to Kevin.
Thank you very much, Roberta. So, Lenny, pull up the slideshow. First, I'd just like to show you what happened in 2022. Can we go to the, hopefully everybody can see that. Can we go to the larger screen that fills up the, I don't know if no, the
slideshow.
The slideshow button. There it is. Okay, so Southeast region or area. Technically, we broke down all the regions a few years back, but the Southeast is a group of folks that's been very tight, and it consists of 5 states: Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And first off, in 2022, you raised in all the crop hunger walks $1,306,823.36. The numbers are all in. This is an increase of over $62,000 over what you raised last year, getting better every year. So this is an amazing amount, and I know everybody's on mute, but let's just have a round of applause. Congratulations. Awesome. Yay. So incredible job, everyone. Okay, next slide, Lenny. Let me just point out a few of the highlights from the from the walks. This is a list of all the Southeast walks. Last year we had 49, which I think is 2 or 3 more walks that happened more than last year. So in all ways, we are growing our events in both income and the number represented in the Southeast. So this is a list of the ranking of our 49 walks from 2022. So you probably get a chance to see it. And I know we sent out some information on Facebook and stuff like that about the national rankings, at least the top 100. But you may not have seen this. If you want this, let us know. Let Lenny, Roberta, and I know, or we'll make sure you get this list of the ranking just in the Southeast if you want. All right, Lenny, next slide. Okay, like I mentioned on Facebook stuff, we put out what is the top 100 events in the entire country. A little over 500 crop hunger walks happened across the U.S. 20 of our Southeast events made the top 100, and I highlighted them on the right part of the screen there. So you see the 20 that made the top 100 and kind of the rankings nationally of where they ended up. And I can see just from this list that there are a number of people here on this call that are represented in this list. So an extra congratulations to these folks and to all of you. I should mention that I think I forgot to mention that overall we raised over $6.5 million with crop hunger walks across the country, and 1.3 million is an amazing part of that for our 5 states. So thank you so much. So the last thing I wanted to go through very quickly is just to highlight what kind of things did we spend this money on in 2022. Lenny? These are the kind of crop programs you made possible around the country. And as you know, every year we put out kind of a sampling map, but there are over 35 countries that we work in every year to do food security programs, water programs, income generating programs to help people fight desperate hunger and poverty in those communities around the world. So your crop hunger walk funds help fund that, along with Lenny? Over 1,000 local hunger fighting agencies across the United States were supported by crop hunger walks this last year in 2022. So that's food banks and food pantries and crisis centers, programs that you are all very familiar with locally in your own communities, supported by crop hunger walk funds from 2022. Lenny? Also, disaster response across the United States. And one of the big ones that came up this last year, and I know our folks down in Florida will definitely agree, the hurricanes that were Ian and Fiona that were just devastating to so many communities. Crop Hunger Walk Funds helped us get over $1 million of relief down to that state, including thousands and thousands of tens of thousands of emergency cleanup buckets, blankets, hygiene kits, also long-term recovery grants going to communities. So your crop hunger walks made a huge difference with disaster response just in 2022. Lenny? Also need to mention the global food crisis that has been exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. And the significance of around the world of supply chains being disrupted. In Kenya, they've been dealing with severe drought and famine for it's been so horrible, in fact, that millions of people are facing starvation there. So for over 15,000 people just in Kenya alone, Crop Hunger Walk Funds helped get to put in emergency food rations, grain that's just for those communities alone, in addition to the other programs you're doing around the world. Lenny? And I need to mention, because it's still so much with us, the Ukrainian refugees that are fleeing their home, trying to be safe. And millions of them trying to get out of families trying to get out of the way of the war. Over 100,000 of them have gone through the bordering country Moldova, where we happen to have a good network of programs set up even before the war, but we had a number of contacts there, so we were able to get up and running very quickly on a network of food banks, programs that work with children, and refugee accommodation centers, helping to get them the kitchen supplies and things they need to provide hot meals for families. So all of this has only been possible because of the amazing work you do with Crop Hunger Walks. Lenny, last slide. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Southeast Crop Hunger Walks. And I will turn it back over to Roberta.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for that information. Thanks for the for helping us celebrate our Southeast Crop Hunger Walks. It's so exciting to just be a part of this effort and to see how communities in our Southeastern region are working diligently to help ensure that CWS is able to carry out this important mission of providing sustainable solutions to communities in our world, across our world. So our next update, we'll be hearing from Mariana Gama, who is our program communications specialist. And Mariana is going to share with us an update on our programs in Serbia and Georgia.
Alrighty, so for this presentation, I'm going to go in the order of my trip. And I want to give a shout out to Abby Becker. She's our photographer, and she took all of these wonderful, beautiful photos that you'll get to see today. So we're going to start off in Serbia. So Serbia, one of our main programs, focuses on the Roma community. You may have heard the term gypsy before. This is often the word that is used to describe this community of people. Unfortunately, this is a very derogatory term. So the correct term that we want to use is Roma, which is the word that this community likes to use to describe themselves. And this community has been highly marginalized in Europe for over a century, basically since they migrated, and they have experienced things like very intense poverty, a lot of discrimination, low literacy rates, low education. And because they're discriminated so heavily, it's very hard for them to break out of this cycle of poverty. So I wanted to show you all this video, which is Abby and I driving into the informal settlement where this community lives. So an informal settlement basically means that these communities have set up their homes in land that they don't own. So as you can see, we started in the city and we're kind of driving away. And the reason I wanted to show you guys this is because this community is largely hidden from society. Not only are they discriminated against, but they oftentimes have that kind of disconnect, which prevents them from moving out of this situation of poverty. So you can kind of see that the closer that we get, the more remote it feels, the more kind of like dirty, like you start to see some trash, not the best place to have a home. You can see all the trash that is piling up, and here's the informal settlement. So as you can see, it's not a great place to live, especially for children. These communities oftentimes don't have access to running water or electricity. Serbia can get very cold, and oftentimes they don't have things like heat. But yeah, here is us arriving. And yeah, so basically it's these little homes that have been set up, and so they do form a community, which luckily they do support one another, but again, it's a very, very difficult environment to live in. Here's just some other photos of what that looks like. Okay, and this is Boyana. She is one of the wonderful individuals that we got to meet. And here she is with 3 of her kids. She actually has 6 kids though. So in her family, which is a single, small 1-bedroom home, there's actually 10 people living in there because she also has a grandson and a daughter-in-law that live with her. Here she is inside her home with her adorable little grandson that we got to meet. And yeah, the great thing about Boyana, and we did write a story with her that we can share with you all, but she was actually born into this lifestyle. So she grew up in an informal Roma settlement herself. She didn't have a lot of opportunities, didn't get a lot of education, but she is really fighting to make sure that her kids can have a different future that she didn't get. So the way she is doing this is through our program, which we do in partnership with CYI, which stands for Center for Youth Integration. So this is CYI, and it has 2 parts to it. But the first part that I'm going to talk about is the drop-in shelter. So as I explained, an informal settlement is not a great place for a kid to be. It's very hard for them to do things like their homework or even just take a shower. So what the drop-in shelter does is it gives a space for kids to actually be able to do this. So they can come here, they can play, they can get a warm meal, they can wash their clothes. And there's always like teachers, tutors that are there to help out with homework. So again, here you can see some of the volunteers that are helping out. But yeah, the kids, they love this place. We got to speak with a lot of them, and some of them told us that they come every single day without fail, rain or shine. So it is a very special place for them. And yeah, the second part of this program is very education oriented. So we want to make sure that these kids are staying in school so that they can have a better future. And the way we do that is we work in partnership with the parents, like Boyana, and we teach them about the value of education, alternatives to be able to move forward in society so that they can actually keep their kids in school. And then we also work with the schools. So we'll work with the teachers and talk about things like discrimination, and make sure that these kids get any extra help that they might need to be able to succeed. So that is our Roma program. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to the next one?
Go for it, Bob.
Yeah, just wondering about how many kids do you have that come to that center? Do you know?
Yes, I did. We did ask the program coordinator, and I think that she said close to 100 are coming. So, but that can fluctuate. We also do have 2 of these centers, and we work with 30 different informal settlements. So it kind of just depends, of course, with like the pandemic, those numbers changed, but I think it's somewhere around 100.
Great.
Mariana, this is Wayne. I have a question. Who is it that provides the education? I mean, you say schools, so where's the schooling coming from?
Now we're going to move on to our other program called InfoPark. And this program largely works with refugees, and it also has 2 parts to it. The first part that we're going to talk about is their outreach. So Serbia is right next to Hungary, and Hungary oftentimes is the first EU country that refugees can get into. So I should say people seeking asylum, because most of them don't have refugee status yet. So most of them are on their way to a country in the EU. And in order to get there, they need to cross into Hungary, which is right next to Serbia. So what these individuals will do is they'll set up informal camps. And this is what they look like. So oftentimes they are on abandoned land. It could be like an abandoned farmhouse. But as you can see, they're not great conditions. And because they are, because they're informal and they're not, run by the government, a lot of the times the government will actually come and harass the people that are there. They'll try to intimidate them and kick them out. So what InfoPark does is a lot of outreach to these camps, where they'll do some needs analysis to understand what these people need in that moment, whether that's food or medicine. But they'll also try to connect these individuals to resources, and they'll explain different routes that they can take, because a lot of the time these individuals will go with a smuggler, which can lead to human trafficking. And so InfoPark kind of does this outreach education. But yeah, as you can see here, the day that we visited, we brought some water, we brought some food, and after speaking with the individuals, we found out that a lot of them had some sort of like skin disease that was contagious. So we were able to go into town and get them some medicine and then come back. But yeah, as you can see, this is one of there was two that we visited, but this is another one of the informal camps, and you can't really see here, but right behind them is a giant pile of trash. So it's just not a great place to be, very easy for diseases to arise. So yeah, that is part of the outreach that InfoPark is doing. And then the second part, which is the main part, I would say, is their resource center. So this is located right in the center of Belgrade, and it's a little office where refugees can come and get all types of help. But the main thing is that they can get support with resources. So if they need medical help or psychological help or legal help, InfoPark can help get them that assistance. And here on the left, so this park is actually known as the Afghan Park, because right now there's so many Afghans that are crossing through Serbia, and this just happens to be right next to a bus station. But you can see the InfoPark team continuing the outreach part, and actually speaking to these individuals. And what's great is we got to see the whole process. So here you can see one of the staff members, her name is Bahar, speaking with two individuals. And you can't see, but this little boy was actually a child. He was about 11 years old and was not with a guardian or a parent. And so they were able to speak with him and figure out the situation. And later you can see here on the right, the little boy and his friends that he was with all ended up coming to the resource center to get some extra help. So yeah, those are our two programs in Serbia. Before I move on to Georgia, any questions?
Have any of these communities been impacted by any of the earthquakes that have been in that?
So I don't think the earthquakes made it all the way here, but I'm sure that like some of them may have come from Syria. So while I can't say like definitely, it is a possibility.
Okay, I was curious to see if the refugees were coming in from like the earthquake area, or if they were working with anyone from that.
Yeah, we did meet some people that were coming from Syria, and Turkey's very close. So it is definitely a possibility.
Okay, thanks.
It's Mariana, correct me if I'm wrong, but Serbia tends to be like a crossroad for a lot of them, right? So anytime people are moving westward, Serbia tends to be sort of where a lot of folks just happen to land, no matter what the crisis might be.
Exactly. It really is kind of like a global hub of refugees, because as I was showing earlier, it's so close to the EU that it's easier to get into Serbia and then try to cross into the EU.
Interesting.
How challenging do they find, I'm sure there must be lots of needs. How challenging is it for them to meet those needs, and how often do needs go unmet just because they don't have the resources?
It's pretty challenging. We got to speak with a lot of the individuals, and I would say it's more challenging for some than for others. We met with a lot of women who talked about, the type of harassment that they experience, the dangers that they're in. Actually, Bahar herself, she came into Serbia as a refugee, and she went to InfoPark and to get some assistance, and eventually they ended up hiring her. And she talks a lot about the hardship that she experienced, and she went the quote unquote legal route, meaning that she stayed in a government-funded shelter. And while she was there, it was a terrible experience for her, unfortunately. She got sick because it wasn't very sanitary. And one day, all of her belongings were stolen. Again, because she's a woman, she never felt safe and was often threatened by the other men. But yeah, a lot of them don't have any documents with them. For example, this group that we met, none of them had any documents because, as you can imagine, if you're fleeing your country, sometimes you don't really have time to plan and try to like apply for documents or anything. And so because of that, that creates a lot of barriers. And then, yeah, Serbia in general also, it does its best to support refugees, but it's not a country like Germany, for example, that has more resources and can support them. So it is a very, very challenging environment for them. Alrighty. Well, if there's no more questions on that, we can move to Georgia. So in Georgia, we have two main programs: our Renewable Energy Technology Program, which is through our partner RCDA, and then our Giving Machines. So I wanted to show you all this because our renewable energy technology focuses a lot on eco-migration. So eco-migrants are basically individuals who have had to leave their homes because of the changing environment. So because of climate change, this is an issue that has been increasing over the past decade. And here on the left is one of the communities that we work in, Borjomi, and climate change has highly affected their way of life because they're largely dependent on agriculture and just being able to use the land. So because of deforestation, a lot of the people here have had to migrate to other communities like Kafka, which is here on the right, because landslides have caused a lot of them to lose their homes. Droughts have caused them to lose their harvests. So it's just not sustainable for a lot of people. And then here you can see Kafta. You can see kind of the stark difference. Borjomi is very green, and then Kafta looks very dry, a lot more flat. But I'll talk about those two areas and how we're supporting them. So here is just some of our renewable energy technologies. So here in this corner, we have a solar dryer, which families can use to dry fruit, which they can then sell. And then here we have a compost garden. This right here is a solar water heater, which allows them to heat up their water year-round, even if it's cold outside. And then this right here is a briquette maker, which I will actually do a closer look at with you guys. But yeah, you can see this machine right here. Basically what he needs to do is he can just get like biomass. So like it could be like leaves and some dirt. And all he has to do is put it in this machine, and it takes about 30 seconds, and then out come these little briquettes. And these are used in place of firewood, and they actually last longer. They release less smoke. But the best part is that because they're using firewood, it helps us decrease deforestation. And it's also a lot more affordable for them to use. And they can use them in these little stoves, which are fuel efficient stoves. And yeah, and then our giving machines, we have chickens, pigs, bees, and goats, which you can see all in these photos. Here's a cute kid with his chicken. And then this lady also has some animals in her home. And then our bee program is personally one of my favorites, and I think one of the program participants' favorites, because every time we spoke to them, they were so excited about their bees. This gentleman on the right, his name is Jamal, and we lovingly call him the bee man because he really loves bees. He talked about how, you know, he is in Borjomi, so because of the changing environment, they weren't able to depend on their crops as much. And so the bees give him just enough income to add to what he's making with agriculture to be able to stay in his home. But yeah, not only has it been very helpful for him economically, but it's also something that he really enjoys doing. So and then looking at Gorjomi, so if you remember in that first picture, Gorjomi is very flat. There's a lot of land, and so it's perfect for animals like goats who can move around, and it's a perfect way for them to have a stable income and not have to depend on the environment. So works out great for everyone. Okay, and then I just wanted to talk about these two families. So this family on the left, they are in Kafta, which, as you saw, is dry, very cold, and they received a solar water heater. And when we were speaking with them, they actually started tearing up, and they told us that the reason they were so emotional about it is because they have a little boy who has a type of illness that requires him to bathe multiple times a day. And before the solar water heater, they weren't able to afford hot water. So oftentimes this little boy who's very sick was bathing in cold water. And since they got the solar water heater, they're able to give him a very comfortable bath. It's very helpful for his health, but it's also just, you know, no one wants to take a cold bath, especially when it's cold outside. So they were very thankful for that technology. And then right here on the right, this is Gia and his mom Fatih, and they received goats. She was in one of the pictures with the goats, if you remember. And they also received some renewable energy technology. And I really liked speaking with them, one, because they have a great relationship. As you can see, they were hugging the whole time. But when we spoke with Gia, I think we all kind of assumed that maybe he would want to leave his community because it is, you know, a rural community and he's like a young man. But he actually told us that he really loves his home and he imagines himself having a family there. And so he's very thankful for these programs because without them, he would probably have to leave his family. So yeah, just wanted to share these two stories so you can see the real impact that these programs are doing. And that's it. Just wanted to end with this wonderful picture of Rostam. He is one of our local partners and he is, I think he's about 80 years old and he is amazing. So just so you can see who is actually leading all of this. But yeah, that's everything I have. So if anyone has any questions, we can.
All right. Thank you all. I apologize. I thought the recording had been edited without all the questions. So Wayne, yes, we will get an answer to your question for you. But yeah, thank you for joining us on that.
Just shows I was paying attention.
Exactly.
I thought the
Even though you
questions were
can't-
actually pretty
even though
good.
you can't see me.
Yeah.
And I thought Wayne had just been as part of the an earlier program we had featuring that or something. So I was like, oh, isn't that convenient? He's in this one too. And
So
Roberta,
we're
go ahead.
okay. So we'll keep moving along. And I probably should have said at the top of the remarks, my remarks that that was a video and that you could put your questions in the chat. And for questions that we didn't have the answer to, that we certainly will get back to Mariana and get a response to your questions. So we thank you and hope that you enjoyed the program update and learned a little bit more about the impact of your work that you support through the Crop Hunger Walk. So this next section of our Leadership Day program, we will focus on some of the other ways that you can engage in supporting CWS. And so we're going to hear next from Mary Catherine Hines. Many of you know Mary Catherine. Mary Catherine serves as our Senior Director for Fundraising Strategy with CWS. And Mary Catherine's going to talk a little bit about donating to the crop walk through IRAs, stocks, and a will. So we're going to go ahead and share that information with you now.
Mary Catherine's from Raleigh, also a Southeasterner, just so you know.
Hi, I am so excited to be here to talk with you this morning at this Leadership Day around some of our exciting tools that you might not know about, ways for people, for you and for people in your community to give to your Crop Hunger Walk in bigger and more transformational ways. Also ways that are in some cases pretty tax savvy. So some of this you may already know and some might be new to you. So feel free to stop me and ask questions if you have any, or we can handle those at the end. So wanted to share with you three tools to help you plan ahead, and some tax savvy ways to help you end hunger. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, if I can get it to advance. Yep. So our goals for this morning, just for my next few minutes, is that you will know 3 ways to make a transformational impact on the world. You all care so much about ending hunger and making a difference in your community around the world. And by the end of the session, you'll know how to donate stock, how to donate from an IRA, and how to include ending hunger in your will. You'll also hopefully know the benefits of non-cash giving for you as a donor and for the people in your community, and where to find the tools to help you and your financial advisor make those decisions. And I just want to take a second to say I am not a financial planner or an advisor. I'm just offering you insights from my perspective. But definitely you want to talk with your own financial advisor about what's best for you and your financial goals. So the first one I want to talk about is stocks. Why stocks? So stocks are some of the savviest ways to give. So when you give stock, you instead of writing a check or making a credit card donation, you save on 2 types of taxes. You save on capital gains tax. So this is, say you bought 10 shares of Amazon stock at $10,000 several years ago. And now those 10 shares are valued at $30,000. If you wanted to give your Crop Hunger Walk a $30,000 gift, if you sold that stock, you would have to pay tax on that $20,000 that you earned on that. In addition, if you sell that stock, and take that income, that $20,000 income will also be taxed, depending upon your state, could be taxed as income. But if you give that stock instead, if you give the stock directly to Churchwell Service in support of your Crop Hunger Walk, that you are not, it is a direct transfer. And so, and since we're a nonprofit, we don't have to pay taxes, and you then don't have to pay taxes. So when you give a stock gift, you end up saving. So this is really helpful if your stock has made a lot of money, or if you don't have a record of how much you paid for that stock. And so if you don't have a record of that, then you're going to have to pay capital gains on all of it. So it's best to liquidate that stock as a charitable gift. I tell you this, some of you may be thinking, I don't have any stock I want to give, but there are people in your community who do. And so that's a great way to encourage folks to give stock, because they can designate through our portal for it to go to your Crop Hunger Walk. And typically gifts of stock are larger than a cash or credit card. So that will increase your average gift. The next I want to talk about is an IRA, an individual retirement account. And so many of you probably have an IRA. So you've put money into an account as you've gone through your work life to have money left to retire. And so whenever you put that money into your individual retirement account, it is put in pre-taxed, so it's not taxed. So anytime you take money out of that retirement account, you're going to have to pay taxes on it, unless you transfer funds from that IRA to a charitable organization, and then you don't have to pay taxes. It's called a qualified charitable distribution. So you can give up to $100,000 annually from your individual retirement account to a charity. And if you have a spouse, they also can do $100,000. So you could, as a family, give up to $200,000 from your IRA. Now, you don't have to give that much. Obviously, we have some folks who who do charitable contributions from their IRAs of $250 to support their local crop hunger walk. What happens is when you pull any of that money out of your retirement account, or even if you leave it to your children, somebody's got to pay taxes on those funds because they were put into your account pre-tax, unless you give it to a charity. So you can't just do that now. You have to be over 70 and a half years old to be able to make a qualified charitable distribution from your individual retirement account. And it's usually from a traditional IRA. So 401ks are not eligible. While Roth IRAs are eligible, they are already tax-free. So it doesn't really make, it's not really tax savvy way to give through that. So it's really best if it's a traditional IRA. Now, one thing to note, if you are 72, you have what's called a required minimum distribution. So that's an amount that the government tells you, your financial planner probably tells you, this is the amount you have to take out every year. And so if you, for your required minimum distribution, you'll have a certain amount you have to take out from your IRA starting at 72 years old. If you don't take out that much, you're penalized 50%, you're taxed 50% on what you don't take out. So you definitely want to pull out all of your required minimum distribution. If you take out your required amount and it's more than what you need to live on, that's a great, you can do a qualified charitable distribution. So you can do a gift from your IRA that is included as part of that required minimum distribution. And so you would end up not having to pay taxes on that, and it would decrease your taxable income. So definitely great if you're 72, or if you know anyone who's 72, to encourage them. Please, as you're looking at, this is a big thing that happens around October, November. People who are 72 are told by their advisor, hey, you haven't taken enough out for your RMD. It's time to take that money out. That's a great way to instead roll it over into a charitable gift to your crop hunger walk. And then finally, this isn't really a way to directly impact your walk right now, but it is definitely a way to ensure your legacy as a compassionate hunger fighter will continue long after you're gone. So as part of our program, we have the ability for you to set up a free will. So you go through the process and you answer all the questions, and it'll ask you about your family and your plans for your pets. If there are any particular causes that you care about, you certainly can choose Church World Service and the hunger fighting programs of the Crop Hunger Walk. And in about 10-20 minutes, you can write your will or refresh your will to make sure that you, your children, your relatives, your pets, and the causes that you care about are supported as part of your legacy. So we have 3 little links here that take you to the will writing tool. So very quick, I did this to about 10 minutes. You fill it all out, print it out, and then go have it witnessed and signed. Then this IRA donation tool, you can either fill out the information online and start that process, or you can fill it out and print out the documents and hand it to your financial planner. So you just go to freewill.com/QCD/CWS. And then we'll send these out to you after the leadership day. But then the stock donation tool, also you can either fill out the information and start the process on our website here, our secure website, or you can print out the information and hand it to your financial planner. One of the great things about using our tools is that often when you ask your financial planner to transfer stock to a charity or make a gift from your IRA, they send the paperwork, but it doesn't always have your name on it. And so we don't know that it's credited to you or credited to your walk. If you use these tools that we have here online, you have a place to designate your local crop hunger walk, or your donors have a place to designate your local crop hunger walk. And so that gives people, that gives us a quicker way of knowing exactly your intentions with those gifts, or the intentions of the people in your community. So just wanted to share these, and I will open it up now. It's a lot of information. I'll open up to see if there are any questions.
All right, so I'm quite certain that many of you already knew about this information and different ways that you can further engage with CWS. Part of the reason we're recording this is so that you can share it with others. And so if there's folks on your Crop Hunger Walk committee or in the community, these are excellent tools that you can share with them about for ways to get further engage with CWS. We have one program.
Roberta, if I can just chime in with a little comment.
Sure.
And I like Roberta said, I know several of you are aware of these options, but they're not oftentimes pushed as a fundraising strategy for a crop hunger walk. I wanted to let you know that they're very real and substantial gifts that go to crop hunger walks. I've been working a lot with the Charlotte walk, and I can tell you that from last year, over $15 was given in one of these formats through an IRA, a QCD, stocks, that kind of thing. So that's part of that total that Charlotte had last year in 2022 was over $15,000 in this manner. So.
Right. Excellent, excellent. That's awesome. So I know Durham's listening, and
yeah, I
know. So we have another exciting program that we've instituted at CWS that we want to share with you this morning. It is our Sustaining Partners program, and we'll have Connie Anderson, who's our donor relations coordinator, is going to share a just brief update about our Sustaining Partners program.
Hi, I'm Connie Anderson, the Donor Relations Coordinator for the Monthly Giving Program. I've been with Churchwell Service for 40 plus years, and I'm inspired by how many of our supporters are now choosing to be a sustaining partner. As the Churchwell Service contact for these generous donors, I've had the pleasure of talking and communicating with some of the most passionate and committed Churchwell Service folks around the world, all who have a different story to tell, but in the end are compassionate humans who are champions of the Churchwell Service mission. Sustaining partners are crucial to the sustainability and success of Churchwell Service. A sustaining partner is a donor who commits to a gift of a specific amount at a regular frequency, with monthly being the most common, usually as a monthly credit card donation or withdrawal from their checking account. These consistent gifts allow Churchwell Service to be innovative and committed in our mission to provide sustainable solutions to hunger, poverty, displacement, and disaster throughout the year. These donations form a strong foundation which enables Churchwell Service to act quickly, efficiently, and effectively within moments of a disaster or a pressing need. The amazing thing is that a monthly commitment as little as $5 can make an impact. A $5 gift can provide all that is needed to start home gardening for 3 families in a country like Timor-Leste. But a $20 gift can provide the seeds and tools for 2 farmers in Kenya to each grow an acre of sweet potatoes, providing food and income for their families and entire community. So no gift is too big or too small. We aim to fit into anyone's budget. In addition to building a better world, there are some very special benefits to being a sustaining partner. Throughout the year, I like to reach out and invite monthly donors to special events and insider meetings with our CEO and our country staff. Our monthly donors have loved these personal engagements. We also have a private Facebook group for our monthly donors. I'm like, let's say, your special Churchwell Service concierge. I like to send birthday wishes, celebrate giving anniversaries, holiday greetings, and other notable opportunities throughout the year, mostly just to say hi and to check in. I am your direct point of contact also in notifying you of failed donation attempts early on so that you don't miss any gifts throughout the year. But mostly here to answer any questions and concerns that you may have throughout the year. Most commonly, monthly donors give their gifts with no specific designation on what program to support because they recognize that it is best for Church World Service to have the flexibility to use these donations where most needed at the time. But we understand there are times when a donor is compelled to respond to a particular emergency or a particular program or country where Church World Service is involved. This is all possible. Our current monthly donors give a variety of designated gifts such as emergency response, hunger, refugees, and the Ukraine crisis, just to name a few. So just let me know, and we will see what we can do to make it happen. But I want to thank you for considering this very special way to donate and for sharing the opportunity with others who want to build kindness into their monthly budget. Kind of like a compassion subscription. Thank you so much for your time, and I do truly hope to hear from all of you very, very soon. Thank you.
All
Kevin,
right.
I think you're up next.
Oh, is that passing the baton? Well, thank you, everyone. Connie is one of the sweetest people you're ever going to meet. And honestly, that Sustainer program is set up so that you will talk directly with Connie. It's just not another faceless form or anything. It's you get a chance to talk with her through any of your thoughts on that particular program. So, okay, so a lot of the rest of the program today will be dealing with the 2023 resources and suggestions and conversations we might have together about plans for the 2023 walk. And they gave me like 5 or 10 minutes here to just highlight a little bit of our online resources, something I don't know if you've checked out yet, but we've been adding a lot of new material there. In addition to the hard copy stuff that you can still order of walker envelopes and posters and things like that, we have a lot of really interesting stuff that you could download off the website. So Lenny, if you'll have us head over to the website. Okay, so quick note, if you want to get to the online resources, this is the same page where you would register your teams and everything. It's that crophungerwalk.org. And then if for your particular page, it's / the name and state of that you belong to. But all you have to do is go to crophungerwalk.org and then click the resources button, except hang on, don't click it yet. I just want to point I just wanted to point out the button next to it is called Getting Started. If you are on your own page and you want to get some additional information about registering online or how to do this, how to type in your different walk money and cash and checks and things into your thing. Well, there is a series of videos and descriptions of like downloadable descriptions that you can direct people to under that Getting Started button. So just so you know, yeah, how to register, find your way around, fundraise, do donations, if register for a team, register as an individual, all that is covered here. I'm not going to really go into that because that's something you may or may not need, but it is all there under the Getting Started button. What I want to talk about is some of the new resources that we've got coming up for 2023. So you just click on the Resources tab. All right, scroll down a little bit there. And you'll see these 6 different categories here, as well as some very specific things for team captains, treasurers, or a walk planning portal and things like that. I'm just going to highlight a few of these things. Honestly, there is tons of information behind every click of these buttons that you see here. But I want to highlight some of the new stuff. Lenny, let's start with Promote Your Walk. So yeah, Promote Your Walk. All right, and scroll down a little bit. Okay, here you'll find some of the things like an activity guide with children's activities, things like that, bulletin insert. Some of this has been up in the past, but we've changed the theme or the pictures or such. Some of the new stuff I want to highlight, first off, is the one that's called Walk Poster. And go to the editable version. Edible, that means to eat it. The editable version. Okay, I think the photo is amazing. All you have to do is download this, and then you can go ahead and type in the name of your walk and the basic information you've got here. And you've got a great poster that you can attach to emails when you send it out to folks. So they get the basic information of where your walk is located, what time things kick off, and how to register online. The address would be there too. This is something they can pull it up on a bulletin board very quickly after they download it. Lenny, see if you can go back to the previous screen. We may be stuck in download mode. But no, yeah, if you can just go back to the previous screen. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about the poster. I really like the design this year and how easy it is to put in your information. I've been promoting this with a lot of the walks I work with. Go up to where it says Moments for Mission. So a lot of times you're looking, a team captain is looking for something they can say in front of a group. And we have different resources, different snippets of sample things people can say. But this is new. If we can download that, it does a few things. These are your moments. If you get 3 or 4 minutes in front of a congregation or a group to be able to talk about a program that's supported by your Crop Hunger Walk, here are some new ones. And they feature the theme, Building Global Resilience. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to get this. Can we actually see what these individual moment for missions are? Doesn't seem to be working. Well, that's okay. It'll work when you go directly to the website, but there are different stories right here. On this particular one, Cambodia is featured, climate change issues is featured, Honduras and Kenya. Particularly, and there are little stories with oh well, here we go.
Can you see it now, Kevin?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was
no, there you go. So you get a little story and a photo of someone, but focused on something new you can tell them. A team captain could say. Let me just mention the theme is on all of these materials, Building Global Resilience. That's the new theme for 2023. The idea that so much is happening in the world with because of climate change issues, that greater drought and floods and famine and hunger issues are affecting communities. So how can we build in greater resilience to all of these things that these communities around the world are facing? And so these are the tools that we're hoping to provide. So that's yeah, okay. If you want to just scroll through a little bit and you just see those stories, I don't know if you can get any further down there. Okay. I think we're done with yeah. Anyway, these are all, you can print them off. You can have these available for your team captains to do a quick moment for mission. All right. Now go on back to our categories. Now, over on the right-hand side, you'll see up at the top, Building Global Resilience. That's the theme I just mentioned. So if you want to focus just on the new theme, there are a number of things you can do. First off, there are several new videos, and they're only a minute or two long, so that you can play. We're not going to play these right now, but just so you know, the impacts of climate change, that particular one. Keep scrolling down. I want to point out a few others with this particular theme. Scrolling down a little bit more, I'm going to we'll go back in a minute, but show you, we've got a few more videos here. Right there, go back. Mary Obiero And some of you may actually recognize her. She was the narrator and feature of our sand dam programs in Kenya. It was a very popular video that we put out about a community that put in sand dams to get access to fresh water for their communities. I've met Mary a few times at programs that we've had. She lives in Kenya. She's from Kenya, but I told her she's the closest thing we have at CWS to a celebrity, since so many people love that video. And she thought that was that's great that so many people were interested. Anyway, this is a new video by Mary that talks particularly about dealing with the issues of climate change in Kenya, but mostly one program in particular, which is beekeeping. And you saw Mariana mention that from Georgia. They're doing this. We're promoting this around the world. Beekeeping, raising bees, making honey to sell as an income generator is turning out to be a very efficient and significant program for raising income in communities, because they put the beehives in trees and they raise them so they don't get flooded out. And they thrive in both drought areas and flood conditions. So turning out to be a big program. You also see different promotional items that we have called Be the Change with a B on it. That's also reflecting our theme this year. Go down a little bit further, scroll down. There are also a number of graphics, social media graphics that you could just go ahead and attach. And you can see one is there's a couple there. There's the Be the Change one, and also pictures of other people that are receiving crop hunger walk funds. So quick little photos that you can attach to emails and things as you're promoting your walk. Okay, go back up to the links. Yeah, right there. All right, a couple things I just want to point out under this one. On the left, don't click on this one, but price points. If you wanted to give a sheet of these are projects, and for $20 donation, you can do this. For $60, you can provide a couple goats to a community in Kenya, for instance, or freshwater fish, that kind of thing. Well, this is a price points page that can be downloaded and handed to people. Make it real. Very realistic as the kinds of things they're supporting with their crop hunger walk donations. If you go over to the other side, Lenny, that says walking partner Alodia, try and click on that, see if that works. These are, once again, great little cards and quick couple-minute stories that people could tell with some great pictures that you could share or attach to emails that you sent out. This is a woman in Paraguay who is doing beekeeping, and how amazing it's been for income generating for her family. All right, go back out. And under these walking partner areas, you'll see 5 or 6 different ones. The one, go down to the walking partner Ukraine. Unfortunately, the war and the refugees are still in the news all the time. And so this might be something that you want to point out to people that that we are working with and Crop Hunger Walk works with. These are safe spaces for children. These children's centers I mentioned that are in Moldova, and Crop Hunger Walk funds are supporting those particular centers. And here's a quick little, someone could make a 2 or 3 minute presentation to a congregation with this. All right, go back up. All right, go back out again. And once again, I'm sorry, I'm just skipping around. Not enough time to go through all these, but I wanted to highlight a few new ones that you may not have been aware of. Go back out again. I want the big page, the tabs. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Go to Plan Your Walk. Now, there's something that we've added to the website over the last year, and actually a couple of these we've just finished in the last month, getting them prepared. And they are what we call toolkits. So here's a bunch of different resources that you might be interested in reviewing stuff, but one of them is a walk planning toolkit. If you want to click on that and see if that comes up for us. It'd be great if this downloads quickly. Let's see what happens there. See so you can kind of see it's got a lot in it. And it's brand new for this year, along with a couple other toolkits I'm going to show you in a second. Okay, so yeah, great. So scroll down here and you'll just see walk planning toolkit. Your planning team might want to spend a little time with this. Of course, veteran teams may have done a lot of these already, but it may give you some new ideas as well about how to fundraise, how to set up your team, how to engage team captains, connect with your local agencies, everything from starting your walk and safety issues to finding sponsors and promoting your walk and what to do after the walk. There's also a couple videos listed with this. So this would be for you, particularly for your planning team to review. All right, Lenny, go back on out. Lenny's doing the heavy lifting on the technology here, definitely. And so far it's cooperating. All right, go out one more time. Okay, so go down a little bit. There it is. Here's the business toolkit. Now, I'd like us to have a little bit of a conversation because a lot of you do business sponsorships. Go ahead and click that. This is brand new. If a walk hasn't tried business sponsorships, and as you know, business sponsorships or congregational sponsorships, whatever ways you develop a sponsorship program, the folks that go on the back of the shirt, that kind of thing. These are suggestions for how to identify and how to build that kind of program into your crop hunger walk. And this is money that you can keep separate, and it's very flexible from the walk money. Walk money, we always say 100% goes to the hunger fighting agencies. So this is money you raise separately to help you pay for logistics or do extra enhancements, and this includes buying the T-shirts or maybe putting out special posters and such. Or I saw someone use the funds to rent a billboard once or something like that. So getting business sponsorship money, this goes through a lot of different questions for how to pull that together and how to get support for it. All right, that's pretty much it. Go back on out there, Lenny. Okay. Yeah, go back out one more and go over to the fundraising tab. Okay, here's the last toolkit that we've just added fairly recently, Walker Toolkit. Okay, click on that and let's look at that real quickly. And this may be something you even want to attach once you've identified your two team captains and such. Maybe you want to send them this to pass on to their walkers so that walkers get a set of individual ideas of how they can do fundraising, and includes a little video, includes different stories, different ways to tell your story, has a number of links to things that will help you get ideas for fundraising. So we just call it the Walker Toolkit. So that's brand new for you folks to use whenever you can. Also mentions the Facebook fundraiser for online giving, which has been a big boost to the online gifts that have come down. All right, go back, and there's one more I wanted to share to finish up this segment. All right, go back one more. All right, on the big blue tabs, go to apparel. Now, some of you have seen these. Some of you, I know I've shown you these. So scroll down, and if you are interested in printing your own T-shirts, then you could download a design from Church World Service. And every year we add 5 or 6 new designs. So just so you see, these are the new designs that are up there this year, and they're downloadable in a format, what's known as a vector file, that is easily printed locally. So you get the design, and you can see that a lot of people use the Believe There Is Good in the World design this last year. In fact, you get the design, you tell your printer to add the name of your walk to the design. It's very easy for them to manipulate it and just type in any information you want, add the sponsors to the back of the shirt, and you are good to go. We're still working with your local printer, but you don't have to, have someone really creative on your planning team to to draw something every year. Anyway, just wanted to point out that those designs are there, and some of your walk teams may want to take advantage of them this next year. That's all I have. Lenny, if you want to edge out of that. We want to go into some conversations, and I think I'm going to let Roberta introduce our first topic of conversation in a second, but maybe let's just take 1 minute and see if there are any questions about the resources, some of the new things I've highlighted. Is there anything that you need me to tell you more about? No?
Just
All right.
one comment. We had used the term business partners.
Sure.
And we changed it 2 or 3 years ago to community partners, because a lot of our partners were not really businesses.
Sure.
They were different organizations. So, for some people that might be a better terminology when
That's a great
sending out letters.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jan. Use whatever term works best in your community. In fact, business partners doesn't even describe it. Most of the walks I work with will have, Kiwanis, that's a civic group, or Rotary, or churches. A lot of congregations are sponsors. And so business sponsors, it's just a general category that we use for the toolkit. Make sure you design your letters and things going out to say exactly what it is in the community so they understand how you're describing it. So perfect. Thanks, Jan.
Kevin, this is Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne.
One thing I would say is I thank you for doing a toolkit now for the walkers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great because I've been just pulling things from here and there.
Yeah.
Put together an email, so it's nice to have that. The other thing is in terms of sponsors, we started something last year that's just beginning to take off. It was new, so people weren't quite sure, but way down the sponsorship dollar level, we're offering like $100 sponsorships for teams.
Excellent.
So if a team will actually want to sponsor for $100, if you couldn't tell on my shirt, down a little bitty letters below all the other ones are the teams that actually have contributed, in addition to their walk money, $100 as a sponsor.
Oh, excellent. Finding creative
that idea.
Yeah, finding creative ways of building up your flexible money that help you. Now, if you get a lot of different sponsors that's way above whatever expenses you had, you can drop that money into the walk money.
I was going to say that is my strategy when I talk to businesses. I say anything above what's done for the expenses of the walk will go into the walk totals, and that kind of adds a little bit of extra incentive.
There you go.
And every year, some of their money's gone into it every year. We've never used it all that we've raised. So,
well, this is excellent. I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but Wayne, chime in a little bit later. The two things I really wanted this group to talk through is sponsorships and the ways you approach it, and publicity. So ways you've promoted the walk that's, beyond just inviting teams to participate, so publicity. And I want to turn it back over to Roberta, who has one of our local coordinators, I think, who wants to talk a little bit about her approach to publicity. Roberta?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for your comments and your feedback. We always try to use this opportunity as a time for one of our crop leaders to share about how they are implementing certain strategies to ensure the success of their crop event. And so I invited Kimberly Steiner, who serves as the one of the co-coordinators for the Chapel Hill Carborough Crop Hunger Walk. Kimberly does a dynamic job on walk publicity. And so our last presenter today for the day is going to be Kimberly. So we'll go ahead and hear from Kimberly and what she does to publicize the Chapel Hill Carborough Crop Hunger Walk.
Roberta, if I might, this is Don. I need to leave. I have an 11:30 commitment. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. And you'll get the recording, Don. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Steiner, and I am the coordinator for the Chapel Hill Carborough Crop Hunger Walk that takes place here in North Carolina. And I am here to talk with you a little bit about how we do publicity for our walk. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that a lot of the things that I'm going to talk with you about today, things like save the dates, press releases, letters to the editor. You can find all of these things on the Crop Hunger Walk website's resources page. So never fear, you don't have to magically come up with beautifully written press releases. The Crop Walk will provide those sample texts for you. The resources page of the Crop Walk website is wonderful, and I will probably reference it several times. So our walk takes place every spring, and our publicity starts way back in the fall, believe it or not. So mid to late fall, we will send out a save the date to local community calendars. And usually these calendars are online. For us, they are town calendars, like the Town of Chapel Hill's online community calendar, or maybe the Parks and Recreation Department, their calendar. Local TV and radio stations have online calendars. We send a save the date out to all of them so that they can get our walk date posted to their events calendar. So that's the first thing we do. Also in mid to late fall, we will start getting our walk page ready. Every walk should have their own web page with the Crop Hunger Walk website. And in order to update and edit your page, you'll need to go to that resources page on the Crop Walk website and find the walk planning portal. You can submit edits to your website there. So we start doing that early. We also send this save the date out on our social media pages. We have an Instagram account and a Facebook page. And our Instagram and our Facebook are linked, by the way. Our accounts are linked. So when you do make posts, you don't have to make a post on Instagram and then make a post on Facebook. You just make one post and it goes to both accounts. So that's really helpful. But we'll post the save the date there on social media as well. Then when we get around to late fall, early winter, we will start to contact print publications. So these would be newspapers, local magazines, and we will send either a press release or a letter to the editor to these publications. And you're going to want to do this now, early, months ahead of time, because the publications actually won't publish what you've written until, in our case, early spring. So this is the time to do it, months ahead of time. So moving on, late winter, early spring, we will contact our local radio station and set up a time to record a PSA, a public service announcement with our local radio station, so that anybody listening to the station locally will hear about our walk. Those are the three big components of what the publicity team for our walk does. But I do really need to say quite a bit about social media. It's true of our walk, and it's probably true of yours, that our online presence has substantially increased in the last few years, especially with COVID. And even over the last few years, our online donations are exceeding our in-person donations. So you're going to want to have a very big online presence. And that can be scary for a lot of us who maybe aren't so comfortable with social media, but it's easier than you think. So like I said, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram account that are linked. And I start heavily posting, not heavily, but I start posting consistently, I'll say, late winter, early spring. I'll start by maybe posting once every other week, and then that gradually increases to once a week. And then as we get closer to walk date, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. And then the week leading up to the walk, I'll post pretty much every day. So you're really going to want to schedule out your posts. You're going to want to pull up your calendar and really plan when to post. Also, what will you post? So that resources page on the Crop Walk website has graphics that you can download and use, and those are beautiful, and those are really great to use in your posting. I will just tell you what we post. These are the major subjects that we post about and the order in which we post them usually, because I think you'll find this helpful. So like I said, our first post is that save the date post. Then we will post about our sponsors, our list of sponsors, and thank them publicly for sponsoring our walk. We will post about our team captain rally. Our walk has a rally every year prior to the walk. So we'll post about that. We'll post the invitation for our rally. We will post about our t-shirts, so everyone can see what our t-shirts look like for the year, and post about how to purchase those. We will post about registration whenever online enrollment is open and our walk webpage looks good. We will post about how to register with the walk online. We will also post about any awards we were given from Church World Service, or any ranking. You probably know about the cream of the crop walks. Those are the top walks in the nation, and our walk was number 17 last year. So we post about that because it's impressive, and people like to know that our walk is making a big impact. We will also post about our volunteer needs as we get closer to the walk. So we invite the community to participate in the walk with us as volunteers. And then even closer to walk day, I will start to post about what the walk is going to look like, what is going to happen at the walk. Are we going to have any entertainment? We have a band, we post about that. We have refreshments. This year we have an ice cream truck, so we post about that. We are having our local university's mascot come, and that's really exciting for people, so we'll post about that. And also periodically I'll just post updates about how our fundraising is going. And that's really important because it kind of pokes people and says, hey, we've made this much online so far, but we still have a ways to go to get to our goal. Please donate. That's always helpful and good to do. So those are the types of posts that I make. It is important when you're posting not to just post like a chunk of text. You should really be using imagery and graphics to make your posts interesting. You should also be using hashtags, which you might not feel totally comfortable with, but when you use a hashtag, anybody online who is searching that tag is going to come across your post. So it is really important. We use hashtags, hashtag Crop Hunger Walk, hashtag Enough for All, hashtag Chapel Hill, hashtag Carborough. And it really does help increase your audience. We also use stories, Instagram and Facebook stories. These aren't posts necessarily. These are like little mini posts that get deleted after a certain period of time. But younger generations really engage with stories. So I would encourage you to learn about how to do those. And it can be fun too. So also, last year our walk was given a grant to use towards Facebook and Instagram advertising. Now, if you've never advertised on Facebook before, it's easy. You just go to your Facebook page and to your ads center, and you really customize the ad about your webpage that you want to put out there. You can even advertise and boost specific posts if you want to. You determine the amount of money you want to put towards an ad. You determine the length of the ad, a couple days, a week, and you can also determine the demographics you want to reach. If you want to reach people of a certain age group or in a certain area. So you can really specify your ads. And what we learned in doing the grant last year is that that works. It really does work. It helps get the word out about your walk. So I would encourage everybody to look into Facebook Ad Center as well. I guess I'd just end by saying that good old-fashioned flyering never hurts. You know, everybody has a local library or a YMCA or senior centers, anywhere you can think downtown locally that would be a good place to put a flyer there. That works too. And if you don't have access to like Microsoft Word Publisher or Mac Pages to make a flyer, we use Canva, C-A-N-V-A, Canva, which does cost money, I believe, but they have beautiful templates for making flyers, and we've made some really attractive flyers using Canva this year that I'm really happy with. So I would suggest using them. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. You know, so you start by posting that save the date to your online community calendars. Then you'll start contacting print publications with press releases. Then reach out to your local radio station to record a public service announcement. And then the big part is the social media. So I hope this was helpful. This is what we do. Our online walk presence has really increased, and we've seen a good amount of funds raised the last few years. So I just want to encourage everyone to, when you think about publicity, to think about online. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you.
Wow, Kimberly was great. Thanks, Roberta, for sharing her thoughts on that. So I'm aware, everyone, of the time that we kind of hit our mark for how long we were going to keep you. Having said that, the 2 points of conversation I wanted to offer was publicity, like Kimberly was talking about, and also sponsorship, whatever ideas or tips that any of you might have to do. So I think Lenny and Roberta and I discussed that we would hang around. I realize that some of you may want to go. It's now 11:30. So, but anyone who wants to hang around and talk about their ideas or their thoughts on publicity or sponsorships, particularly, that would be great. I just I let Dennis Testerman from the Cabarrus County Walk, he's the coordinator of that walk for the last, I don't know, 30 years or so, wanted him to say a few words about the model he uses for sponsorships. Their team is been doing a great job for 30 years on this as well. But I'd also like for other folks to throw in their tips, like Jan had just thrown in tips about a minute ago about sponsorships as well. So Lenny, Roberta, are you guys good? We'll stay another 15 minutes or so and just see if we've got other conversations on these topics. Good?
Sure.
All right. If you gotta head out, that's fine, guys. Sorry, we're running a little bit late. But I'll just let Dennis say a few words about the model they use in Concord in Cabarrus County, North Carolina.
Making sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you sounded good.
Okay.
You look like an air traffic controller, so you're good.
So we've already talked about sponsorships a couple of places in the agenda already, and I think actually most of the big ideas that kind of have been the way we've rocked and rolled over the 30 years I've been affiliated with the walk have already come up. We do roll our excess funds into our other walk revenue, and it gets split by the same 75-25 formula. And there are thousands of dollars that are in excess each year. I mean, really the only thing that we use our sponsorship money for are for the t-shirts. And of course, they've got the sponsorships on the back. Up until recently, and this is sort of a late breaking word, but up until recently, we had some version of a local hometown newspaper that was hanging on in some shape, form, or fashion. And I've gotten them to run I don't know, I guess it's about an eighth of a page ad each year, recognizing our sponsors, giving our crop total, and other pertinent stuff. That's one of the things that we promise the sponsors, is it didn't not only be on the t-shirt, but on the be in the newspaper as well. There's been yet another transition in the newspaper staff.
Not making a
And
mess.
so we're still trying to work on that one. We also, when we had a milestone walk several years ago, I think Charlotte Walk does this also. I've hung out with their walk some over the years as well. Strung up our previous t-shirts. And if you look on the back side, you know, that's another way of seeing the sponsors. We have usually a list of the sponsors put up on walk day, and we in doing our announcements before the walk, we'll read off the list of sponsors and recognize anybody that happens to be present. And they are a mixture of sometimes individuals. Typically they're either businesses in the community or congregations. A lot of our larger churches are in recent years have come on to sponsor, as well as organize a team to go forth and raise money.
Hey, Dennis, tell them the size of your sponsorships, just kind of thinking of in terms of the model you're using. Do you have levels?
Yeah.
Do you have levels?
So we've got and I'm going impromptu now, $1,000. We've got one that checks in that most of you in the Southeast would be familiar with Shoes Show. That company, the founders, owners, whatever, are in this area. And so it's not always in the name of Shoes Show. It depends on how they're handling their tax deductions each year as to how that gets listed. $500, $250. Everybody gets on the t-shirt at whatever level. We do list in-kind sponsors as well. So the t-shirt printer, which gives us a discount, gets on there. The newspaper gets on there by virtue of helping the cause out.
Hey, Dennis,
and we've probably got maybe, I don't know, we've got a dozen or so sponsors in recent years. It actually held up pretty well during the pandemic. We were pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, I'll just comment too that it just seemed like even during the pandemic, you really all you had to do was ask. I mean, a lot of the congregations already had it added as a line item in their mission team, right? It was like one of the lines that they typically would save money for every year is to support the crop hunger walk, or a business might be the same way. It was kind of like expected. Thank you so much, Dennis. Just to start us off with that, anybody else want to share ideas or thoughts about sponsorships or publicity that you're doing that might be a great tip for us to know?
I have a question. This is Camille from Annandale, Virginia. Do most of the walks that have t-shirts actually sell the t-shirts then? And what's the price range for what they ask?
That is a great question. Because I mean, it varies so much, and Roberta and Lenny might want to chime in here. I'll just let you know from the walks I work with, Charlotte, for instance, sells their t-shirts for $3 a piece, even though it's a $7 or $8 shirt that they buy. So the sponsorships pay for most of the shirt, but having that low cost makes people want to have a bunch of shirts for their teams at $3 a piece. Having said that, more than half the walks I work with just give the walks to the first people that show up at their event. And sometimes they run out, sometimes they have extra left over, but it's considered kind of a perk for showing up, particularly. And I'll also mention another one I work with. They actually set aside t-shirts only for free for sponsors, but if they're not part of a sponsoring team, the walker might have to make a donation of $5 or so. So there's a variety of things. I would say the most common is the sponsorships pay for the t-shirts and they're given as incentives for walking, as long as you don't run out on walk day. I don't know, Lenny, Roberta, other.
If I could say something, Kevin, at Greater Triangle, last year I think we spent almost $5,000 on t-shirts because, or actually more than that, because we gave them away to the teams. Picked up t-shirts early from a central location, which happened to be the church I work at. And they had them either pass out to their teams like the Sunday before, or they passed them out there at the walk, and we didn't have to worry about distributing them that way. But we had 550 shirts that we gave away last year, and you know, it's expensive because you talk about I like to know where you found a $7 t-shirt. I'd like to find that company, because they were like $10 because last year, because of the supply chain and everything. They may go down this year, but they were very expensive last year compared to what we paid in the past.
Yep, we will. Some of my walks have paid more. I will say right now, I found a company in High Point, North Carolina, that does them for $6.50 a piece.
Okay, well, that's close enough for me to drive.
Well, you guys let me know if you want them. They would be very excited.
Yeah, why don't you send that information out somehow to us to let us know. Let Roberta have it to send it to me.
I've got several. I mean, I kind of also endorse the idea of if you can go with a local printer, you know, and just tell them what you're looking for. I think that's the best. You establish a relationship. But I've got walks coming from Asheville, North Carolina for my High Point shirts now.
I was going to say for $1,500 or $2,000 that I can add to the walk, I'll drive to High Point.
That's right. That's right.
So
I could make another comment. A couple of years ago, the Charlotte Walk tried the model where we sent the t-shirt design to a printer, and we sent everybody the information that each team could contact the printer directly and order your own shirts, and they would ship them to you or whatever. That didn't work well for us. It just was too complicated for people to figure out how to do that. It ended up being a very expensive shirt because we were not subsidizing the cost at all. So you might want to be careful about that kind of thing. It sounds like a good idea because it takes you out of the middle of it, but for us, it wasn't very effective because people didn't buy very many shirts.
Yep, lots of different models and ways of
Yep.
approaching.
Yeah, that's a good point, James, because I had a walk that did the same thing and the response was not great. So I agree. I think we need to be involved in that process.
And it's cool when you can see a whole walk of just a sea of walkers with the same shirt on it. That looks kind of amazing. It makes a great impression too. So getting those shirts out there and then having those shirts in the community throughout the year helps.
So the question about how people get shirts, I know some of my walks, they'll give shirts to fundraisers who raise a certain amount of money. So maybe it's $100 or $200. And then other walks have just had shirts there for sale by donation. So they don't set a specific dollar amount on the shirt, but someone makes a donation and can have a shirt to the t-shirt fund specifically. So those are ways.
Yeah, that
I've seen as
donation
well.
phrase is kind of magical. People give a lot more than they would typically if they had to just pay for it.
Okay. All right. So we are at the end of our meeting this morning, unless there are other questions. And if they are, you can always drop them in the chat, or you can send an email to Lenny, to Kevin, or myself, and we'll be happy to respond to your questions. Or if we don't have the answer, we'll be certain to find the answer and get them back to you. So I don't know if Lenny or Kevin have, I was going to combine both names. Lenny or Kevin have any more comments, but there's just one thought that I had that I'd like to share with all of you. Some of you may have heard the story before, but I've shared with several of my walk teams that many years ago, I met a man who was a police officer, and he unfortunately was experiencing homelessness. And as I sat with him and talked with him about his story, I asked him to share with me what was the cause of him becoming homeless. And he shared the story, but one thing that he shared with me that has stayed with me all these years was that he said to me, he said, "Miss Roberta, he said, sometimes at night I sit in my car and I think about the fact that I live in this great big world and I'm all alone." And I never forgot that comment, because what I walked away from, and I was able to help him secure housing, but what that left me just keeps reminding me of is that none of God's children should feel like they live in a great big world and feel alone. So that's what you do through the Crop Hunger Walk. You help to ensure that none of our brothers and sisters who live in this amazing world that God has given us for all of us to enjoy, that none of them feel like they are alone. Through your efforts, through your giving, through your promoting, raising funds to support your local event, you're helping to ensure that everyone feels like they matter. And that is such an important gift that we give to our brothers and sisters through the Crop Walk. So thank you on behalf of Church World Service. Thank you to all of you for what you do to make a difference in our world. We certainly do appreciate you. We see you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Amen. Thank you,
Roberta, for sharing that. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks, as Roberta said, for all you do. And unless there's anything else, we're going to wrap up. I'll stop recording today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for everything.
All right.
Take care.
Have a great Saturday.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.